We have a new student with us. She just moved here from Africa.
Welcome.
I'm from Michigan.
Great. I'm 16. Until today, I was homeschooled. And then it was goodbye, Africa. And hello, high school.
Hi, I'm Katie.
I'm Jess.
This is Damien.
Watch out, new meat coming through.
This map shows the school's central nervous system, the cafeteria.
You got your cool Asians, burnouts, jocks, the greatest people you will ever meet, and the worst.
So you've never been to a real school before?
Shut up.
Shut up.
I didn't say anything.
Plastics. Who are the plastics?
They're teen royalty.
That's Karen Smith.
She is one of the dumbest girls you will ever meet.
I'm kind of psychic.
Really?
It's like I have ESPN or something.
Gretchen Wieners.
She has 2 Fendi purses and a silver Lexus.
And evil takes a human form in Regina George. She knows everything about everyone.
That's why her hair is so big. It's full of secrets.
We want to invite you to have lunch with us. Regina seems sweet.
Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
Your house is really nice.
I know, right?
Being with the plastics was like leaving the actual world and entering girl world.
Have you seen any guys that you think you're cute yet?
There's this guy in my calculus class. His name's Aaron Samuels.
No. That's Regina's ex-boyfriend. Ex-boyfriends are off limits. I mean, that is just like the rules of feminism.
Gretchen told me that you like Aaron Samuels. I could talk to him for you if you want.
Really? You would do that?
You're so hot.
Why would she do that?
She's a life ruiner.
I knew how this would be settled in the animal world. But this was girl world. All the fighting had to be sneaky.
I want to lose 3 pounds.
They're these nutrition bars my mom uses to lose weight.
It won't close.
It's a 5. You could try Sears.
Why are you eating a Caltine bar?
What?
They make you gain weight like crazy.
Who does she think she is? I invented her.
I'm sorry I laughed at you.
I'm sorry I called you fat.
I'm sorry that people are so jealous of me. But I can't help it that I'm popular.
Walk it off. Walk it off.
You know who's looking fine tonight? Seth Mosikowski. He is your cousin. What? He's a good kisser.
Hello and welcome to Book versus Movie. This is the podcast where we read books that have been adapted into movies, and then we try to decide which we like better, the book or the movie. I am Margot P. of the Chingona Homesteader, and this is my good friend and co-host, Margot D. of Brooklyn Fit Chick.
Hi, everyone.
So we're wrapping up summer.
Yes, we are.
It's back to school time, and this is a very special replay, but we want to make sure you know about a couple things that we don't necessarily mention on this episode. First of all, we have a Facebook group.
Yes, we do. And there's a lot of people joining it lately. Welcome to the group, everybody. You just go to facebook.com and you type in Book vs. Movie Podcast Group. And what we do is we actually just a little bit more interactive there on our basic Facebook page, Book versus Movie. We post the episodes, but here we talk back and forth with everybody and people talk amongst themselves. And it's become really fun. And to entice you a little bit to join the group, I mention a picture in this episode that we're doing today of Mia with a celebrity. And if you want to see that picture, you have to join the Facebook group. So it's Book vs. Movie Podcast Group. Ask to join, you get to join, and join the fun.
Oh, and that reminds me, there's another thing that we mentioned in this episode. When we originally recorded this episode was when the miniseries Feud, Betty and Joan, or Joan and Betty, was being aired on FX, and it's now available on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, so you and I were just sort of kind of obsessed with Joan Crawford for a while there. And Betty Davis. We covered Whatever Happened to Baby Jane in the past. We covered Mommy Dearest and Mildred Pierce. And FX had their series Feud, and it's now available on Amazon Prime. And I have to say, those episodes were so much fun to do. I think they're some of our best we've ever done. I just love doing them.
I know, I think so too. It's such a fun series. Whatever you think about it, you can't argue that it's not a fun watch. So yeah, that's what we're talking about. And you can check it out now. So that's really cool that it just coincidentally worked out that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So Amazon Prime, look for Feud FX. And we have stickers, by the way. If y'all are interested, send us an email, bookversusmoviepodcast@gmail.com, and we'll send you some stickers. On Twitter, we're at Book versus Movie, and we have an Instagram feed finally. That's Book versus Movie. So, and please, if you like the show and if you leave a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts, we will read that review on the air. We had a new person join the Facebook group today and said he was going to do that. So thank you so much much for doing that. And yeah, Margos, so you picked this one today. So we're talking about Mean Girls, and people kind of say, like, wait, that's based on a book, but it kind of sort of is.
Mm-hmm. It certainly is. It's based on Queen Bees and Wannabes, which was kind of, I forget what year it came out, but we mentioned it in the episode. But Queen Bees and Wannabes was a really groundbreaking book looking at, well, Mean Girls,
Yes.
Mean Girl society, and how it takes root and what it does, and how, you know, the lifelong ramifications of girl culture that continue to play out. And so, yeah, it's a great book. It was a very interesting book. It was a nonfiction book that inspired this movie, and a lot of the politics, if you will, in the movie are based on some of the stuff that's mentioned in in Queen Bees and Wannabes. Our next new book, though, is going to be Coraline, which we were just saying before we went on the air. Coraline is a book. It's also a graphic novel, and you can also get it on Audible.
Yeah, so this is, and also you're going to hear in the show today, this is before we had our Audible promotion. For you listeners of Book versus Movie, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to try out their service. And I recommend, there's a couple of them. Actually, in Kindle, they don't have Queen Bees and Wannabes by Rosalind Weissman, but they have the nonfiction book, if you're interested. Or get Coraline, and the author himself, Neil Gaiman, narrates it, and there's music with it. And it's pretty incredible. And I have to tell you, Margot, I've been doing my research on Neil Gaiman, and we're going to have quite a time talking about him because he is very, very interesting. So that's going to be our next new episode. So today it's going to be Mean Girls, also Queen Bees and Wannabes, and then next time it's going to be Coraline.
Fantastic. I cannot wait. So we hope you enjoyed this back to school special edition of Book versus Movie, Mean Girls.
Here we go.
Why don't I know you?
I'm new. I just moved here from Africa.
What?
I used to be homeschooled.
Wait, what?
My mom taught me at home.
No, I know what homeschool is. I'm not ready. So you've actually never been to a real school before? Shut up. Shut up.
I didn't say anything.
Homeschooled. That's really interesting.
Thanks.
You're like really pretty.
Thank you.
So you agree?
What?
You think you're really pretty?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh my god, I love your bracelet. Where did you get it?
Oh, my mom made it for me.
It's adorable.
So fetch.
What is fetch?
Oh, it's like slang from England.
So if you're from Africa, why are you white?
Oh my God, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white.
Could you give us some privacy for like 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
Welcome back. This is Book versus Movie. Yes, this is our official episode. If you were with us last time, we had our new special series that we're doing on Feud, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I am Margot P. from Not Your Mama's Blog, and on the line I have my good friend and co-host Margot D. of Brooklyn Fit Chick.
Hey everyone, live from Brooklyn. I'm here.
So before we get into today's episode, we have a few little kind of housekeeping things to clear up. First of all, welcome to all of our new listeners and subscribers and followers, wherever you're subscribing to us. We are a proud member of the Electronic Media Collective.
Yep.
And what else do we want to say? Do we want to give all the fours?
Yeah, sure. Well, you can find us under the hashtag Podern Family. That's where they have a great group of podcasts if you're looking for other shows to check out. So shout out to Podern Family. We get a lot of new listeners from them. But we're Book versus Movie, and you can find us on social media on Facebook and Twitter. You just spell out Book versus Movie. And if you want to send us a note, we love email. Send us an email at bookversusmoviepodcast@gmail.com. And if you are looking for us, you just found us on the web or something, and you're like, hey, how do I subscribe to this great show? What you do is you just go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud. You look up bookvs.movie podcast, and that's where you'll find Margot and I.
That's right. And we were just saying before we went on the air, I always, until this week, I would tell you that the scariest book I've ever read is What to Expect When You're Expecting. And by the way, just as a completely off-topic note, if you have anyone in your life who is ever expecting a baby, for heaven's sake, do not buy them What to Expect When You're Expecting. It's terrifying. Oh, it's the scariest book ever. Yeah. It's basically, what they should call it is Everything That Could Possibly Go Wrong While You're Expecting. AKA You Will Never Sleep Again. No, it's a terrifying book, but this one is even scarier. This episode is scarier than, what did we do? Carrie, we did Silence of the Lambs, we did Psycho. This is the scariest book I've ever read in my entire life.
It brought up so much stuff for me. It was,
right?
Oh God. So I guess we should talk about what we're going to be covering today, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about, we're talking about Mean Girls, and what we didn't know until one of our friends from the Sonia show, shout out to Sonia. She likes us, and she said, why don't you guys cover Mean Girls? I was like, well, it's not based on a book. She goes, oh yeah, it is. It's called Queen Bees and Wannabes, and it's a non-fiction book, and it's basically, it's by, Rosalind Weissman. It was published, in 2002, and it's all about helping women. Here's the subtitle: Helping Your Daughter Survive Cliques, Gossip, Boyfriends, and the New Realities of Girl World. This was published in 2002, and every few years she has to update it because then things like Facebook come along and social media and sexting.
God.
It's I mean, oh my God, it's just awful.
It's awful. I kept having, it took us extra time. I don't know about you. I kept having to like put it down and walk away from the book for a while.
Yeah.
Cause it was giving me so much anxiety, and it was giving me anxiety, of course, as the mom of a teenage girl, but also like it was giving me PTSD flashbacks to my own adolescence, and like, oh, it was just awful.
Totally.
It's just the worst book ever.
I don't know about yours. I think you grew up in San Diego, right? And you went to the same school the whole time. I grew up a little differently. So my dad worked for IBM. Both my parents worked for IBM, and we moved every few years. That was the whole thing about IBM. It stood for I've been moved. That's what we used to say. And so in the 80s, we moved quite a bit. And so I went from, every time we would go to a new school, I had to learn the rules. And then, and every school was different. And I was a lot like Katie in the Mean Girls. Like, I didn't grow up in Africa, but I was in first 2 years of high school, I was in the country in Pennsylvania. Like, half my friends had horses and things like that. And and everybody wore jeans and t-shirts to school. Like, nobody got dressed up for school. Then we moved from there to Ridgewood, New Jersey, which is like super posh and all very upper class, white, Republican, whatever. And it was a fashion show every day. So I got adept at making new friendships and stuff like that. But it brought up stuff for me when I read this, because I was like, oh, right. I was really just trying to fit in. I wasn't being myself. And that was like years of that. Years.
Seriously. Oh.
God.
I know. I only moved schools a couple of times. I had that experience and certainly not in high school. In high school, by the time I started freshman in high school, I knew most of the kids that were in my class, and I went to this small Catholic school. Mm-hmm. But, it was just,
it's hard.
It's horrible. Yeah. It is horrible. And I think we talked about this before. I forget which episode this came up with, whether it might have been Wallflower, Perks of Being a Wallflower. It might have been Carrie. I served on the planning committee for a couple of our high school reunions.
Oh yes.
Which is again awful in itself, because planning big parties is always like really horrible. Nobody wants to do it. Mm-hmm. But the nice thing about that experience for me was that in talking to the people that I went to high school with as an adult, what I learned was just what we learned in this book, that everybody goes through this, and that high school sucks for everyone. All the people that you thought were having like the best time ever in high school, they were having the worst time ever in high school. Everybody, it's always the grass is always greener kind of thing. But yeah, this book really goes into, it's a parenting guide. Yes. Is what it is. So it is a parenting guide. It goes into tremendous detail, and the scary thing, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't even know where to start what the most scary thing about this book is. It's all extremely scary just right from the get-go. This whole like mean girl cliques, exclusion, social pressure stuff starts in like third grade.
Yes.
Starts like crazy early. Way earlier than any of us want to remember or try to think that it did. And then of course, there's boys and school and, like we were just saying, sexting and social media and
It's
just,
and you know what? And that's like, no matter what, your kid is kind of an asshole. I mean, like the way she puts it out, cause there's queen bees and wannabes and targets and bystanders. And it's like, no, you know, if you think you should be happy for your daughter's a queen bee because then she's really popular and powerful, but no, you don't want her to be that because they're mean. No. Right.
Yeah.
So how do you
They're awful people.
They're awful people. What if your daughter's a wannabe? How do you not make her a wannabe? I mean, it's terrifying. And then and the parents, the hip parents, the best friend parents, the pushover parents, like, what do you do?
What do you do? One of the things that was, I mean, again, it's just terrifying on somebody, because you're also relating it as, you know, even if you're not a parent, I'm sure as you're reading it, you're totally remembering what it was like growing up. And I mean, I don't know about you, but fortunately for me, because it's come up again, being the person who plans the high school reunion, that I actually have the opportunity to hear this feedback from people. So I'm told from the people I went to high school with that they remember me as somebody who was kind of nice to everybody.
Yeah.
And, even though to me, I thought I had like the worst attitude ever. And I remember every single mean thing that I did I'm going to say from like 5th grade all the way through high school. I remember every mean, gossipy thing that I ever said, or, you know, where I hurt somebody to their face and their faces just like haunt me and they just drive me to eat chocolate every day at 4. I just feel like, I just am so I don't, you know, it's for me, then at least I know that most people don't remember me that way.
Yeah.
So that's good. And it's funny because I don't remember, you know, even the people who were quote unquote mean girls. I don't know if I told the story about how I met my best friend. I met my best friend in high school and she was the new girl. And she was kind of like Katie in the book, that she had lived she had lived all over the world. She'd lived in India. Her father was an international doctor who helped third world countries. So she'd traveled all over, and she had come to us she'd been living on like a farm in Vermont, and she moved out to San Diego, and she was not Catholic, but they put her in this Catholic school. And, so first day, the teacher's introducing her to the class, and this girl who was sitting next to me, who was a mean girl, said some mean comment about my friend, who was not my friend yet, and would say these awful, mean, not true things about her every single day, really loudly. Every time she came in the room, she'd make a disgusting, mean comment about my friend. And she was saying it to me. I didn't know either of them. But the mean girl was talking to me, and I was mortified that this new girl would think that I agreed with the mean girl, or that I was friends with the mean girl, and it just like was eating me alive. And finally, after like 3 weeks of it, I went up to her the new girl after class, and I said, "Oh, hi, listen, I just want you to know I don't agree with anything." I forget what the mean girl's name was. Let's say her name was Debbie. I don't agree with anything that all those mean things that Debbie's been saying about you. I don't think you're a stupid bitch. I don't think that you look ugly. I don't think that you know, I think you're really neat.
Oh my God. Could she hear this? Like what she was saying?
Well, to this day, I could still see my best friend's face, because she told me later, on the one hand, she was really, really touched because it was really hard being the new girl, and people there were a lot of cliques and they didn't reach out to her. So she was like really happy that I was like reaching out to her. But on the other hand, she had no idea whatsoever.
Okay. That's what I thought.
I've been saying all of these awful things about her.
Oh man.
Is that awful? And you know, and we've been friends now for almost 30 years. And the mean girl, the original mean girl, the reason that I have my best friend, first of all, she's the reason I have my best friend.
Yeah.
But she is the loveliest woman now. She's a mom. I mean, she is the nicest, sweetest, just lovely, lovely woman. And that was just a phase, I guess, she was going through.
Sometimes they say that sometimes kids, when their parents are having problems in their relationship, there's like a problem in the home life, they act out on other kids to kind of feel powerful. And so either they don't get attention at home or they get bad attention at home, so they just do it in school, and that's how they feed their self-esteem. I mean, maybe that's where it came from. Maybe there was something going on there.
I have no idea. I don't know. I just know that she is the sweetest, nicest lady now.
Well, that's nice to hear.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah, she didn't grow up to be a mean woman because, as we know, there are grown-up mean girls.
Oh, yeah, there are.
So I'm reading that too. I'm reading that too while I was reading the book. Like, oh crap, this happens in like corporate America and like, you know, at the PTA. Like you see this exact same stuff. Why do we do this to each other? Oh, it was very upsetting. It was a very upsetting book. I am like traumatized. It's amazing. I don't have alcohol. If it's not, it's like 1:00 in the afternoon, or I would be totally having a cocktail while we're doing this episode. It's not traumatic.
You know what I told you, I think I told you in the show, I watch The Real Housewives, I watch all the Bravo shows, and they totally pull this shit. They totally pull this queen bee stuff, and they're in their 50s. I mean, it's unreal.
Remember when the original, still my favorite, the original OC Housewives. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've been watching. I've been watching since day one. I'm down with I love the Housewives. So in the original season, the first season of the original OC Housewives, they all wore these stupid tops. Do you remember those stupid blouses they wore?
No.
They were so hideous. They were these tank tops, and they all bought them at the same like little shishi boutique in Orange County. And they were these tank tops with this huge like jewel encrusted blob like right in the middle of your boobs.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
They had a name, and they all wore these. It was like the thing that you know that, and that's like totally a Mean Girls thing.
Yeah.
Like on Wednesdays we were.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I remember that because they all had their boobs surgically enhanced. Like they all, none of them have like their real body parts, and they all have like, they tanned themselves so much that their décolletage is all wrinkly and brown and wrinkly. Yes. And they wear those, and they do these sparkly tops, which is so your eyes go there and you're like, why are you enhancing that? But they're proud of the boob job. So they,
And that's Orange County. And when you go to Orange County, because again, I live 40 minutes away from Orange County. When you go to Orange County, it is bizarre. I mean, those are the people that you are, you know, it's not like that's just on TV. That's really what it's like. Mm-hmm. And what's bizarre about it is that, you know, all these women, and very young women too, getting plastic surgery. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't have anything against plastic surgery. If it makes you feel better, I'm not against anything that makes you feel better about yourself, just to be clear. But what appears to be the case in Orange County is that because everybody has it, you start looking, and it kind of gets weirder and weirder. It kind of gets, it's like a game of telephone, but with your face. It gets like more and more removed, and you start to feel out of place if you don't have at least, you know, your boobs done or your neck done or something. Yeah. It's really weird. And really, really young women going and getting things done. I mean, it's hard to imagine that there are that many women who are feeling better because of surgery. I have a hard time buying that, when it's like everybody. I don't know. But anyway, it's totally that Mean Girls dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah. All the shows do it. They all have they all have a queen bee. They all have a wannabe. They have a target. They have the torn bystander. You know, that's Eileen in the Beverly Hills one, you know. Totally. She doesn't want any trouble. You know, they get into fights. It's not, and then all this about conflict resolution. Did you see this? Where they're like, don't send her a note. You know, don't do it in front of other people. Take the mean girl aside. Be alone. I remember reading this. I'm like, oh my God. Cause that's what they do on those shows. But it doesn't matter because there's cameras all over them. So whatever you say, it goes out to everybody anyway. And it's just the minutia of their arguments are so dumb and pointless.
Yeah, they're edited.
Yeah.
Then they're edited, and they have people like, trying to amp up the already drama that's going on. It's just bananas. And like I said, I certainly know, we know women like that. It's not like, that's why we like those shows. Cause it's not like made up science fiction. It's because we can relate it to our non-millionaire friends.
Yes.
It's,
yeah.
It's just so tense.
It's so intense, and I'm the same as you. It took me a while to get through the book. That's why we had to take a little few extra days, to record it, because we both needed time to digest it. And like I said, she had to update this every few years because, you know, it was bad in 2002, but it's much worse now. I'm sorry to tell you that, Margot, but
I'm afraid it is. Yes.
You know, Snapchat and all that stuff. I mean, I don't know. There's actually, for Fit Bottom Girls, we interviewed a woman named Shailene Johnson, and she's a big time fitness person.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm. And she told us that she actually got on Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram, but made a fake name and followed her kids and followed all of her kids' friends in order to monitor what they were doing. And it worked for like 2 years. And then she just got busted recently. But like,
that's a good idea.
Yeah. I'm just putting that out there.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, it's
I
a
know.
big oy.
Horrified. I'm absolutely horrified. And I was in a Catholic school. I was in a, fairly, extremely monitored, not fairly, very monitored kind of situation.
Right.
And still. So yes, it's one of those books, like, again, if you're a parent, especially if you're a parent of a daughter, you need to read the book. But if you're a woman who has conflicts with other women, if your life looks like the Real Housewives, you maybe want to read this book. It's not going to be a fun read. I'm going to tell you right now. It's not. You're going to need something, some chocolate or some vodka or whatever it is that you need to get it.
Ribs and ice cream, whatever it is. Comfort yourself somehow.
I can totally get why Tina Fey, how this would inspire her to do this movie, though.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's a great idea. And by the way, Tina Fey admits that when she was in high school, she was a mean girl.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's part of her penance is writing this movie and trying to figure out, figure out how to end the mean girls at the school. But that's where she kind of came from.
Yeah. So basically what happens with this movie, and how long after the book was the movie?
So the movie comes out in 2004. So it's 2 years after the book.
Okay. So it's 2004. It's produced by Lorne Michaels of Saturday Night Live. Was she already the head writer?
Yes.
What? Okay. Which was groundbreaking in and of itself. That was really groundbreaking.
She was the first woman that was the head writer for Saturday Night Live. Yeah.
And she did Weekend Update and so she's already a trailblazer. And it's funny, when I was watching this movie with Todd, and I think we went and saw it in the movie theater when it came out. I know I saw it right when it came out. And he said, this was before 30 Rock, but it was after Saturday Night Live. And, he said, I didn't, when I was watching this movie when it first came out, I didn't quite recognize Tina Fey's voice. Mm-hmm. But now watching it after 30 Rock and all the other stuff Bossy Pants and all that stuff that she's done since then, like, you're like, oh yeah, well, this is totally a Tina Fey movie.
Yeah.
But this was the first Tina Fey movie. So, it was kind of new for all of us. And what she basically did was take the scenarios of the book that are spelled out in the book and put them into the characters' mouths and lives and play them out. And it works really well. So let's talk about the cast.
Absolutely. So we have Lindsay Lohan as our Katie Heron. She's a 16-year-old homeschooled girl, and she comes to the United States, and this is going to be her first public school that she's attending. And God, she's attending what, in the 10th grade, 11th grade, something like that.
Junior year, I think.
Junior year, yeah. And there's a picture of me with Lindsay Lohan on our Facebook page. So going back a few years, not Freaky Friday, but what's the Parent Trap?
Parent Trap.
She was in the Parent Trap. So I was taking my author. He was the singer named Larry Gatlin, and he had a biography, and I took him around for interviews in New York. We did a day of interviews, and we went from Good Morning America to Live with Regis and Kathy Lee. That's who it was at the time. And we had all these places, and we were on the same schedule as Lindsay Lohan because she was promoting the Parent Trap. And it was an ABC thing. So she went to all the ABC shows. So we just started hanging out together throughout the day. And I hung out with her mom, Dina, like all these people that would become kind of notorious and famous. And I have to tell you, they were all super sweet and nice. She was a nice, sweet little kid. And her mother was really great. I thought she was grounded and I was shocked the way things turned out for Lindsay Lohan. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she had a good head.
Were her parents still together then?
They were still together, and I'm telling you, one time, her mother tells me they want her to be in the Inspector Gadget movie with Matthew Broderick. She goes, but I don't want her to do it because it's going to, we'll have to move, and then her brother's playing lacrosse right now. We don't want to disturb the family. And I was like, wow, like they're really like sticking together as a family, a nice Long Island family. And then within a few years, I think she just started making so much money for the family that things changed.
Yeah.
It's so sad. I know, because she's so talented.
She really is. All the stuff that she made, what was that one that she made with Jane Fonda? Remember?
Oh God. Georgia something.
Georgia Rule.
Yeah. Oh God, that's terrible.
Oh, really? It's really good though. But she's good.
She's good. I think she's good. I don't like that movie very much. I always think
it's a stinky movie.
It's a stinky movie.
But she's good.
She's always good. Like, I mean, people should hire her because she can do the job. And I think that was one of her more adult roles that she took on. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking at the time, but here she's like fresh face. It's right after Freaky Friday. And originally, she wanted to play Regina, who is our Rachel McAdams, the mean girl. Yeah. And apparently Sherry Lansing, who ran the studio, said, no, Freaky Friday's a hit. We can't have you play somebody mean. Like, you're part of our brand now. You have to play the nice one. So Lindsay Lohan kind of begrudgingly let Rachel McAdams take the part. And it's funny because Rachel McAdams is like 6 or 7 years older than Lindsay. She's in her mid-20s when she did this part. And then Amy Poehler, who plays Rachel's mother, is only like 7 years older than Rachel McAdams. Like, she's like in her 30s. It's crazy.
I know. Yeah, like they would have gone to the same elementary school together.
Yeah.
I know. And I love, and Amy Poehler, the parents, I love what's a great cast? Tim Meadows. We just say Tim Meadows is so freaking underrated.
I think so too.
He is always fantastic. He's so good in this.
I totally agree.
I love every single scene of his, every single one. I love the first scene where Tina Fey spills the coffee all over her shirt. And he's trying to be professional, but then he has to look because she mentioned it. And then when he comes out with the baseball bat.
Which is like totally playing on Lean on Me. Remember that movie Lean on Me?
Yeah. It's like, okay, gotta get my black principal baseball bat out.
He's good. He apparently he broke his hand in real life, like just like a week before the movie came out. So they gave him carpal tunnel syndrome. That's why he's wearing that.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. Funny.
Yeah.
And Aunt Ostire is Katie, Tina Fey's mom. She's fantastic.
Lindsay Lohan's mom.
I'm sorry, Lindsay Lohan's mom.
Yeah.
And who's the dad? Who plays her dad?
Neil Flynn.
Ah, he's good too.
He's very good.
But Amy Poehler.
Oh God, she's funny.
Did you know? I knew that mom. I had a friend who had that mom.
Oh yeah, everyone has a friend that has a mom like that.
Yeah.
And you think she's cool, and then later on you're like, oh God, that was really inappropriate.
It's horrible. Yeah, it was really bad, and it had really terrible long-term ramifications for that young woman. Yeah, who she needed a mom. She didn't need like an overgrown frat girl or sorority girl. But yeah, Amy Poehler is hysterical with the Chihuahua. That's like she had this awful boob job. That she has the Chihuahua that's biting her breast, but she doesn't feel it.
Yes. And it's, apparently Amy Poehler put like little weenies under her bra. And so the dog was going crazy for the weenies.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we also have Lacey Chabert as Gretchen Wieners. Yes. She's really good.
She's excellent. Yes.
Yeah. And then Amanda Seyfried. Is that how you say her name? As Karen Smith.
Yep. And she was auditioning for the role that Lindsay Lohan did, I think. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
But they thought that her sense of humor was so funny for that character, the dumb character. She's so great.
And she's great. And this is her first big role. And she was originally trying out for Katie. She didn't get it, but Lorne Michaels says, why don't you have her play the dumb one? And she does a great job. She's very funny. I could tell the weather. I think she's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love Rachel McAdams' hair, by the way. I love the wig they put on her. That just looks so luxurious.
It's quite something.
Yeah.
It's very impressive. She has good hair game in this, in this movie.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so Katie, who's Lindsay Lohan, goes to the new school and everybody's awful to her because they all have their established cliques, but she sort of becomes friends with Janice and Damien, who are sort of outcasty types.
Janice Ian, by the way. I mean,
Janice Ian. Yes.
Lizzie Kaplan.
I learned the truth. Yeah.
She has a great voice. I love Janice Ian. Lizzie Kaplan plays her, and she's very funny.
Mm-hmm. She's really good. It's a really good performance. And so is Damien Lee.
Yeah.
Damien Lee, who's played by, what is his
Daniel
name?
Franzese.
Yes. He's really funny. I love when he's the Santa.
Yes.
And he comes passing out the candy canes. So she becomes friends with them, and she finds out that the mean girls, the popular girls, who they call the plastics, she kind of learns about that dynamic for the first time because she hasn't been among girls her own age before.
All that is holy. Would you look at Karen Smith's gym clothes?
Of course, all the plastics are in the same gym class. Who are the plastics?
They're teen royalty. If North Shore was Us Weekly, they would always be on the cover.
That one there, that's Karen Smith. She is one of the dumbest girls you will ever meet. Damien sat next to her in English last year.
She asked me how to spell orange.
That little one, that's Gretchen Wieners.
She's totally rich because her dad invented toaster strudel.
Gretchen Wieners knows everybody's business. She knows everything about everyone.
That's why her hair is so big. It's full of secrets.
Hey, what's happening?
And evil takes a human form in Regina George. Don't be fooled, because she may seem like your typical selfish, backstabbing, slut-faced hoe bag, but in reality, she is so much more than that.
She's the queen bee, the star. Those other two are just her little workers.
Regina George. How do I even begin to explain Regina George?
Regina George is flawless. She has 2 Fendi purses and a silver Lexus.
I hear her hair's insured for $10,000.
I hear she does car commercials in Japan.
Her favorite movie is Varsity Blues.
One time she met John Stamos on a plane.
And he told her she was pretty.
One time she punched me in the face. It was awesome.
So she didn't have the benefit of watching that evolve the way everybody else did. So she with Janice, Ian, and Damien come up with a plan to take down Regina, who's the queen bee of the Mean Girls. And I forget. So they decide to, cause they're taking her down as though she's a dictator.
Yeah, she did. I can't remember it's Janice has the plan, and she's doing revenge against Regina for some past, incident that happened. And so she's going to use Katie as the person to like infiltrate the group and be a part of them. And then they're going to break it up from inside. Basically, that's how they're going to do it. So Katie's like, just wants friends, she's lonely. She doesn't know anybody. So she's like, okay. So the popular girls let her sit with them at lunch, and they hang out with her. They take her shopping. They let her wear, I love it when she's like, you have to wear pink tomorrow. She says to Damien, do you have pink? He goes, yeah, I do. And she wears this pink shirt, which is so cute. But that's when we find out that they take her shopping, and they're at the mall, and that's a very funny scene at the mall. Like she imagines animals, behaving in the wilds because she was just in Africa, and that's like the teenagers acting out and everything. But anyway, she goes to her house. Katie goes to Regina's house with all the girls, and that's where we find the burn book. So this is already very dated because kids don't have books nowadays. Yeah. They would never spend their time scrapbooking. Just not
writing in a book with a pen. I don't think they probably wouldn't know. We had those when I was a kid, but I'm not even sure by the time they made this movie that they were doing that anymore. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so she's got a burn book. For those of you who don't remember or aren't old enough to know what that is, they were these awful things where you would just write mean things about other people. That was the purpose of it. It was like a hate journal.
Yes.
Basically. So they find out that she has a burn book in which the mean girl, Regina, has a burn book in which she writes all the awful, awful things, true or not, about everybody else in the school.
Right.
And Katie participates in that to kind of be as an in, and then she does it for real.
Yes.
And we should say Tina Fey, who wrote it, plays the math teacher.
Ms. Norbury.
And she's kind of like the mentor to Katie, but she's also got a lot of problems of her own.
Yes. She's
For one thing, she has to work 3 jobs because she's a woman. And she has to work woman jobs that, as we know, pay very little compared to men jobs. So women's jobs like teaching don't pay enough to live on. So she has to bartend and stuff on the side.
That bartending outfit she has to wear. The bartending outfit with all the the buttons and all that crap. Oh my God. But she's getting divorced. She just got divorced, so she's got to make some extra money anyway. But she's great because she's normal, she's down to earth, but she's also very wise, and she sees everything that's happening with the kids, and she's really trying to help Katie. And one of the things she wants her to do is, have her become a mathlete and join the math team, because there aren't any women on the math team, and she's just as smart as a guy that's on there. So that's one way she tries to, encourage her.
And it's true, girls are not generally encouraged to participate in science and math. And so she's trying to, reach out to her and kind of encourage her, to to pursue her strengths. And anyway, so things kind of go out of control because Katie in the process of trying to sabotage the mean girls eventually kind of becomes one herself. She kind of can't help it. She gets kind of seduced by the acceptance of the group, as often happens to girls. Well, whether it's a boy or whether it's from a clique of girls.
Well, she develops this crush on Regina's ex-boyfriend, Aaron. They have like a whole thing where they're like have this flirty relationship, and she's told she can't go near him because he went out with Regina before, and then Regina kind of gives her the okay, and then Regina makes a play for him, and then he and her start dating all over again. So then Katie's hurt, so then Katie wants to get him back, so then Katie acts like a mean girl to like get back at Regina. And so he sees her now like becoming a mean girl, and so he's turned off by that. So she thinks she's getting all this power, but she's turning him off, so she doesn't understand like what's going on. She doesn't know what to do with the power that she has.
Right.
Because she's a kid.
Yeah, because she's a kid.
Yeah.
She has to be dealing with these things.
It's hard.
Yeah, and it gets worse and worse, and so she crosses the mean girl who takes mega revenge by exposing everything that's in the burn book and making it look as though Katie was the one who wrote all of it. Although she wrote some of it.
Right.
She didn't write all of it, but she kind of frames her so that she gets the brunt of the blame. And there's this great scene. And then she prints copies of the burn book and just throws them all over the school.
Yeah. So everybody sees it.
See what's written.
Yeah.
About everybody else. And the school just riots. It's this whole riot of girls, and they have this great scene where the principal comes out with his baseball bat and makes all the girls go into the gym for an impromptu, what does he call it? An attitude makeover.
Yeah.
And this is where, this is the part that's kind of lifted exactly from the book. So in the book, one of the things that the author said was that when she would speak to girls, and she speaks to girls very much the way that Tina Fey's character addresses the girls in this scene, asking like, raise your hand if you've ever spoken behind your friend's back, and everybody raises their hand. Raise your hand if you've had somebody speak about you behind your back, and everybody raises their hand, and everybody gets to see that it's not just them. But she says invariably one of the girls will say, well, we don't have a problem with that. You know, if anybody has a problem with it, it's just because they're whining or and she says when somebody says we don't have a problem with that, she knows that's the mean girl.
Right. It always is.
And, yeah. And because they don't have a problem with how things are going. Why should they have a problem with that? So they do that in the movie. And then she then asks she asks the group who here has been personally victimized by the mean girl, and everybody raises their hands. And then they do all these like trust exercises where they apologize to each other. And that's really funny. I love the one girl who has all the feelings, and she's like, I wish I could get friends again, like in middle school, and make a cake of rainbows and unicorns and all share it. And somebody goes, she doesn't even go here.
I like the girl in the wheelchair. Like she goes over the ledge. Like everybody has a chance to go over that ledge. It's great.
So yeah, it's super good. And it is putting the principles of the book into practice, on screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it would happen if. So Katie becomes kind of an outcast after this because everybody thinks that it's her. Oh, she goes to apologize to the mean girl Regina who gets hit by a bus.
It breaks her spine.
Very funny. Breaks her spine. Just hilarious. No, breaks her spine. Doesn't die, but breaks her spine.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the death knell of the mean girl reign. And everybody kind of is able to rebuild after that. And Katie then joins the mathletes, and there's this great scene at the end where she wins, it's the equivalent of prom queen.
Yeah.
But then she shares it with everybody. And I love, again, Tim Meadows is so funny in that scene because she's making this speech, she's apologizing to everybody, and he's like, you don't need to make a speech. Because people just take the crown and walk away. He's so funny.
He's so funny in this movie. I totally agree. I think he's so great. He's
I
underrated. Yeah.
He's seriously underrated. Why is he not in all the movies? He used to be in all the movies. So yeah, so then she kind of, everything is much better. And then it's senior year and all this stuff is calmed down. Everybody's kind of found healthier ways to deal with their feelings. And the closing shot is of the next group of mean girls.
The freshmen.
Getting hit by a bus.
Yeah, the freshmen are coming along, and she's like, we're not putting up with this crap again. So let me ask you something though about this movie. So what did you think? I thought there was a couple of things that kind of creeped me out. One was the relationship of the coach with the young Asian girls. I thought they kind of like just kind of glossed over that. I'm like, that's like illegal behavior.
Yeah. Yep.
I thought that was really weird.
Oh, I was gonna say, I have a not close member of my family that went to jail for exactly that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
As they should. But
yeah, as you should. As you absolutely.
Yeah. And then I thought it was kind of a cop out that Janice Ian wasn't gay. Like to give her a boyfriend.
Me too.
I don't know.
What?
That really bugged me for some reason.
Yes, it bugs me too. Why can't she just be gay? Why can't they both be gay?
Yeah.
Because Damien's character is gay.
Yes.
But why can't she be gay?
I don't know. I don't know if that's something from the studio notes or something like that. I mean, what is this, like 15 years ago this movie came out? I mean, we're not that different than it was then. It's like only like 13 years since this movie came out. So I don't know. That always bugs me, that ending when she like starts making out with dating Kevin, who's a funny character. I think he's a great character, but I don't see what's going on there. It just bugs me. That just bugs me.
Yeah, it bugs me too.
Yeah.
See, now I need to look up. Do you remember what year was it? This is so dumb, but what year was it that Ellen came out on her TV show? Remember? It was such a huge deal. Remember? Yep, I'm gay. Remember that?
97? I want to say 97.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's totally, it's just silly.
I'm just wondering. I'm wondering, is it like we're comfortable with the boy being gay, but we're not comfortable with the woman being a lesbian?
Yeah.
Like, what? Is that it?
I don't know. And if it was, it's like, she's being teased for being lesbian for so long because she told somebody she was Lebanese, and then she kind of adopted this persona but I don't know. It just felt like a cop out. It's just
I agree.
One character I think they kind of betray there, because I love her. I think Janice is hilarious. I love the scene when she starts yelling at her, you bitch.
Oh gosh. You dirty little liar. I'm sorry, I can explain. Explain how you forgot to invite us to your party.
Janice, I cannot stop this car. I have a curfew.
You know I couldn't invite you. I had to pretend to be plastic. Buddy, you're not pretending anymore. You're plastic. Cold, shiny, hard plastic.
Curfew, 1 a.m. and it's now 1:10.
Did you have an awesome time? Did you drink awesome shooters and listen to awesome music and then just sit around and soak up each other's awesomeness?
You know what? You're the one who made me like this, so you could use me for your 8th grade revenge.
God, see, at least me and Regina George know we're mean. You try to act like you're so innocent. Like,
oh, I used to live in Africa with all the little birdies and the little monkeys. You know what? It's not my fault you're like in love with me or something.
What?
Oh, no, she did not.
See, that is the thing with you plastics. You think that everybody is in love with you when actually everybody hates you. Like Aaron Samuels, for example, he broke up with Regina, and guess what? He still doesn't want you. So why are you still messing with Regina, Katie? I'll tell you why. Because you are a mean girl. You're a bitch. Here, you can have this. I want a prize.
And I want my pink shirt back! I want my pink shirt back!
Everybody is so funny and so right on target in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta get home. I'm on curfew. I love Damien. He's like my favorite. I think he's my favorite character.
Yeah, he's fun. He's fun. Because you know what? He's the one character that is comfortable in his own skin.
Yep.
Isn't trying to fit in with anybody.
Did you see the scene in the bathroom where a girl's yelling at him out of the bathroom? He looks and goes, Danny DeVito, I love your work.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Kids don't care about bathrooms. They're totally okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a funny script.
Yes. Very funny.
And, now knowing Tina Fey through, of course, her work on 30 Rock and, her other work, her Bossy Pants and her other movies and stuff like that, we kind of take it for granted that we understand, like, well, we know her voice and all of that. But this was a big deal. This was a huge deal to have a woman writer writing a comedy about the girl dynamic. And it's not like, what's the test? What is the name of the test?
When the Bashel test? I think it's called Bashel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which, how many female characters do you have talking to each other, and it's not about a guy? Now, there's some scenes of that, but it's mostly not that.
No.
It's mostly about relationships between the other women. And they're great. They're all great characters.
And it's complex. Like, all of the women are very different from one another. Which is, you don't always get in movies. Like, girls are sort of packed in as one type. And this movie really I loved that scene. I love movies, high school movies where they do point out the cliques. I mean, it changes every generation, but it doesn't change every generation, if you know what I mean. Like, they get a little more specific as it goes along, but I just kind of like that. Like, the unfriendly, good looking black girls and the dumb jocks and the this and the that. I just like, that always makes me, cause it is what happens. People do that, When we talked about Planet of the Apes, going back to Planet of the Apes, and we were talking about the actors on Planet of the Apes, like the orangutans hung out with the orangutans.
Right. So weird.
Chimps hung out with
crazy.
Yeah, people we tend to do that. It's just how we socialize, It's just learning how to do that and not exclude other people and not be mean.
Right. And there was that joke, and it's early in the movie. There's this joke where the principal says, or Tina Fey, the teacher, reads, like, we have a new student from Africa, and she just instinctively looks at the black girl.
I'm from Michigan.
Michigan.
And then she's listed as Michigan girl in the credits. But I know who she is.
That's terrible.
I know.
Come on. But making fun of exactly that, like these stupid microaggressions.
Yes.
That we make and accept. And it's a lot about all of that. Yeah, it's a great movie. It is a great movie. And I think book versus movie, hands down movie. That book was horrifying, but necessary. But horrifying.
It's horrifying. I mean, I'm going to say, like, well, no, you're right. If you do need to, like, work out with relationships with women who are kind of queen bees or wannabes and stuff like that, it's a good book. It is good for advice about how to strategies on dealing with that stuff.
Yeah. Yes, it does have practical advice and tactics.
Yes.
And yes, very necessary if you don't know this stuff already. It's a good book to read, even if you're not a parent, and like you're saying, if you're just dealing with this dynamic at work or whatever, in your family, perhaps, it's a helpful read, but it's not an easy read.
It brought up, like I said at the top of the show, like it brought up a lot of stuff for me about stuff I went through when I was a kid and growing up and then teenager and college and getting my first few jobs in New York City. I was new all over again. Like I found myself like, oh, I do that. I tend to just like I suss out the situation and try to fit into it. And it took me years, like into my 30s. I'm like, that is so stupid. Just be yourself,
right.
Hang out with people that make you happy, that encourage you. And you're all of a sudden you have like a happier life. It's like a lot less stress. You're not strategizing all the time. It can make you crazy, the strategizing.
Yeah.
I
know it's exhausting to try to be somebody else.
Yep.
It is always exhausting, and the payoff is never enough.
No.
So it won a lot of awards. This movie won a lot of like Teen Choice Awards and MTV Movie Awards. And it is the source, just like Clueless, it is the source of many, many, many pop culture memes.
Yes.
Tropes.
Yep.
Themes. You Can't Sit With Us.
Right.
I love that one.
Or Fetch.
And Fetch. Stop trying to make Fetch happen. I love that one. Fetch. I love Fetch. And, and Mean Girls, and the term Mean Girls.
Yep.
We were using that term. It's like something we talk about all the time now, but we didn't talk about Mean Girls before Mean Girls.
No, we did not. And there's just certain scenes that are like just stand out. I love the Christmas pageant. I like it when Damien sings Beautiful by Christina Aguilera. And apparently the actor was so shy that he only recorded it with like his mom in the audience when they filmed it.
Oh.
I know. And the girls with and this is very like 2004, like they have the CD player that they're dancing to, and it's just, and Amy Poehler dancing in the aisles. Like gyrating. It's one of my favorite things. That's become a meme. Or a GIF. You could see like Amy Poehler, like it's just.
Oh yeah.
I love all that. And the kid rapping, his name Kevin. Kevin is rapping.
Yeah.
And apparently Amy Poehler and Tina Fey had to teach him how to rap. He's like this kid from Sri Lanka and he didn't know. Like they had to teach him how to rap, and Amy Poehler wrote the rap that he does.
So funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a great movie. It is a great movie.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it, I don't know where you've been that you haven't seen this movie, but it's always good. This is one of the movies that if it's on TV, I stop and watch it for a while.
I recommend for this movie. I was having I had a little blue kind of period recently, and one night I had tacos, red wine, and Mean Girls, and it was
perfect.
Fantastic.
What's better than that?
Nothing.
Nope.
It was perfect. So yeah, I totally recommend it. I think I'm gonna have to pick movie just because the book bummed me out. But I'm glad I read the book. To be honest with you, I am glad I read it. It was hard as it was. It was very wise. I learned quite a bit from it. So good suggestion, Sonia.
But I may not sleep for the next 6 weeks.
Oh, you're not going to sleep. Wait, not until she graduates college, maybe.
I know.
And even then, you're going to worry about her at her first job. You know how she's treated. I worry for you, Margot. I was like, I read it all the time. I thought about, oh God, Margot lives with one of these creatures. My God.
God. And I'll tell you what, my son is he just turned 8. He just had his 8th birthday. And dang if there isn't a little mean girl in his class.
Oh no.
8!
Oh yeah.
Just like the book says, it's all coming true. Yeah, 8 years old. It happens. It happens. And it's one of those things that kind of like childbirth, that once it's in your past, you kind of forget all about it. And then when people talking about it, you're like, oh my, that's right. Oh, I forgot. Yes, there were mean girls in the 3rd grade. You know, there were girls who were already getting their periods.
Yep.
You know, by then I certainly knew girls in the 3rd grade. There were a couple of them. Yeah. Just, ugh.
Yeah, and I think the worst thing I remember is the adults that didn't do anything, that saw bad things and just turned a blind eye. I mean, ugh. I tell you, growing up is hard.
It is.
It really
is. It is.
Yeah.
It's not easy. You have a lot of stuff you got to learn.
Yeah.
So what are we doing next?
Okay, so I have an interesting idea. A shorter book and not as traumatizing.
Good.
So what do you think about doing?
What to expect when you're expecting?
No, we could do that. There is one, but I can't. Ugh, my friend Laura, who always has some really great ideas. The movie Hook, reading Peter Pan and then the movie Hook. Because people really love the movie Hook for some reason. Millennials are really into it. But I thought that could be really interesting. You know, Robin Williams.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun. It's a quick read.
And Peter Pan and the movie Hook takes all kinds of other themes. I mean, not, of course, obviously the characters and all that kind of stuff, but the larger story has the themes of Peter Pan in it as well, as I recall.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that'd be fun.
Cool. Yeah, let's do it.
Yay. Okay, great. So fantastic. Okay, I'm writing that down. Hook and Peter Pan. So Margot, where can they find you?
Where can people find me? People can find me all over social media at She's Nacho Mama, SheSnachomama. And my blog is she'snachomama.com.
And you can find me, Margot D, at Brooklyn Fit Chick on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. That's my blog too, Brooklyn Fit Chick. I forgot to mention, Margot and I are now recapping Feud, Betty and Joan. So every Monday we're going to get together and we're going to talk about the previous night's showing of FX Feud. And Margot and I, if you're new to us, we did an episode about Mommy Dearest. We did an episode about whatever happened to Baby Jane. And we read a lot of material about it. So we are just geeking out like crazy. So if you're into that show, subscribe to our podcast. Look up Book versus Movie Podcast, you know, up in your, wherever you find your podcast. And that way you'll never miss an episode. And we're having so much fun doing it. And people seem to be enjoying it.
It'll be once a week for the next 8 or 7 weeks now.
Yeah.
Because we've already done the first episode. But yeah, I mean, I was just saying before we went on the air that I had just watched the first episode again this morning because I just love it so much. I love it so much. It's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah, I cannot wait. Can't wait for the next episode. So yeah, tune in for that. And then of course we'll be back with our regular book versus movie, which will be Hook.
Yes. And Peter Pan. So I guess we're going
Peter Pan.
So we're going from girls to boys.
Indeed we are.
And you have a son, so that works out.
It will work out very well, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm psyched.
Right. Well, we'll talk to you guys next time. So next time it'll be Feud, though. Next episode that gets uploaded will be Feud, and then after that will be Hook, probably.
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much for listening to the Book versus Movie podcast. We're a part of the Frolic Podcast Network. You can find more podcasts you will love at frolic.media/podcasts. You could find us on Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, and Instagram at Book versus a Movie. Just spelled it all out. We have a Patreon page. Type in there Book vs Movie Podcast, where you can find 8 years